Well, hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Yarn Ambassador pod blog. My name is Charlie and you can find me as Yarn Ambassador on Instagram and online. You can also find me as Chalice on Ravelry. Thank you very much for joining me today. If this is the first time you've come across this podcast, this is a podcast that aims to showcase the brilliance and the diversity of independent yarn dyers across the UK and maybe further afield. And it's been a while since my last podcast. It sounds like it's been a while since my last confession. But it's been a busy start to the year, and also because I aim to showcase the work of one yarn dyer each time, I feel like I need to actually commit to that yarn dyer and do them a proper job so that I can give you guys a proper review as well and really showcase it. So that takes some time, what with life and stuff getting in the way. Also, I found I have a pretty big inability to say no to stuff or put myself forward for stuff that potentially I don't have time for. So over the beginning of the year I've been involved in a couple of test knits which have been so much fun, and also some sample knitting for our local yarn shop in Oxford here, which is wonderful and I'm super enjoying it, but obviously that leaves less time for the Yarn Ambassador side of things. But this month we actually have a proper showcase, and I am super pleased to be showcasing the work of Jenny from Owl About Yarn. Now, you may well know Jenny. She has her own podcast and she is part of the Knit Tea Retreat duo that is Jenny and Zoe, and you may know Zoe from the Pins and Needles podcast as well. So that is first how I kind of came to know Jenny's work, and I first met her in Skipton at Yarndale. I keep getting Yarndale and Woolfest and all of them mixed up, and kept talking about a yarn fest, which doesn't yet exist, so if anyone wants to claim that name, they can. So I met her and Zoe in Skipton in September, and thought Jenny's going to make a fabulous person to showcase on the pod blog. So that's what we're doing. I was lucky enough to meet up with Jenny in a very cold park in Edinburgh at the Yarn Festival there. Which was brilliant, and I have to thank Jenny and Zoe for waiting around in the cold. Hadn't quite thought through the location aspect of where it is, so I'm going to insert that video here and then go on to talk about Jenny's yarns and what I've been doing to work with them. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Yarn Ambassador pod blog. We are here with Jenny from Owl About Yarn. We are in Edinburgh. We have escaped the madness of Edinburgh Yarn Festival and now we're in a very cold park. Don't think any of us were banking on it being this cold. Jenny, have you just finished that hat?
Yeah, I finished this hat very late last night.
There you go. Timely.
Yeah, I forgot to pack my hat and mittens.
For Edinburgh,
In
March.
Yeah. It was a bit of a last minute dash. I took on too much work before I left, and so I had to rush to finish the work and then hurl things in a suitcase and hope they were sensible.
It does seem sensible. At least you had a half a done hat.
No, it had 2 rows when I came.
You had a hat you'd started.
Yeah, I walked around the festival yesterday knitting it, basically.
Well, it is beautiful. And is this an Owl About Yarn one?
It's Owl About Yarn and pattern, yeah, which I'll be releasing next month.
Oh, that is exciting. Is that sock weight?
No, this is DK.
Let's have a look. I like it. I like it a lot. We might be doing some of that.
I haven't done the pom-pom though. It needs a pom-pom, but I needed to sleep, so...
Yeah. There are priorities when it comes to those kind of things. So you are the independent yarn dyer who we are showcasing this month, and so thank you very much. Now the first thing I wanted to ask you is about your name.
Yes.
And the owls.
Yes.
Where has that come from?
I love owls.
Do you?
Yeah,
I wouldn't have guessed.
I love owls, but apparently it was my best kept secret. Nobody knew that I loved owls until I came up with my name.
Owl About Yarn. It is a very clever pun.
Thank you.
I like it. But all your bases are named after owls.
Yes.
Tibetan owl,
Happy owl.
happy owl, comfy owl,
Cuddly owl.
cuddly, not comfy.
Yeah. Sparkle owl for my sparkly
Yeah.
yarn. Yeah. And then my mascot is called Ollivander. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And you also sent, when I got some yarn, a lovely little progress keeper with an owl on it.
Yeah,
which
all
I
my
love
orders
as well.
go out with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is, I loved that. That is now adorning a finished piece, but so it's not keeping progress anymore.
That's fine.
It's just watching. Now, one of the reasons I looked into your yarn is because when I met you at Yarn Fest last year in Skipton, I had just bought some stuff which had yak in it, and you were like, I've totally got yak.
Yeah.
So I looked at. That's amazing. Tell me about yak. How on earth did you end up doing? Yeah, where did you find
Well, I
the
was
base?
just really lucky. I've got my two normal bases involving merino and BFL, which I'll always have. And I just wanted something that felt a little bit more special, a little bit special occasion luxury.
Yeah.
So I tried out a silk blend, and then I found one that was merino silk and yak.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I've got to try some of that. And it's beautiful because it's a grey base, so it has a real depth of colour when you put the colours on top of it.
And so does it absorb the colour fine, even though it's a grey base?
Yeah,
Is it still
really well.
still
It
as
just-
vibrant? And,
Yeah. Well, it's slightly muted, but
Yeah.
there's just this depth of
And
colour
that's
to
the
it.
Tibetan owl.
Yes.
And that's a sock weight yarn.
That's a sock weight, yeah.
And
I think
you've
it's about 366 metres, 200 grams,
approximately.
approximately.
And if you just started doing DK weight stuff as well.
I have. It's really difficult, though, to persuade knitters to buy single skeins of Aran
Yeah.
and DK.
Yeah,
'cause-
that is very true.
So myself and my friend Zoe are on a mission now to try and persuade people that it is possible to do single skein projects like the hat.
Like the hat.
And there'll be matching mittens. So that is a 2 skein project if you want the pair. But and so the Aran didn't sell particularly well, but I thought, I just need to give it a go again.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm trying the DK.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I'm on a bit of a DK mission as well. At Edinburgh Yarn Festival, I was not allowed to pick up single skein yarn. Single, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I've got a lot of single skeins of DK because that's
Fantastic.
that's how it works. And hats and cowls and all sorts of things.
Yeah,
you can do there.
definitely.
Now, one of the yarns I've been using of yours was the pull tiles one, which I absolutely love.
Self-striping.
How do you do stripes? I was thinking about it, and it is just totally made my head go a bit funny.
Well, I'm very lucky in that my yarn supplier will sell me super long skeins, 6 metre long skeins.
Oh wow!
So you can just dye long sections of
Okay.
it to make it self-striping. Before that, I dyed a few by walking up and down my very long dining room, a lot of times around chairs.
Yeah, excellent. And then you apply the dye.
Yeah,
It's
in
because
longer chunks, yeah.
because it's amazing. And how do you? This is probably too technical, but how do you know how much makes around the foot?
I knitted a sample
Okay.
and then I unravelled it, put a knot at the end of each row,
Oh,
and I
clever.
unravelled it and measured it, and then I got some really cheap acrylic yarn and cut it out for 1
Yeah.
round length,
Yeah.
2 round length, etc., and put tags on it.
It's like a Sherlock Holmes kind of approach to dyeing. That is pretty impressive. And how did you get into dyeing in the first place? Were you a knitter and then did you not find your colours? How did you go about it?
Well, I've knitted forever.
Yeah.
I can't even remember not knitting. I've knitted since I was very, very small. And then I joined a Stitch and Bitch group about coming up 10 years ago. They introduced me to indie dyed yarn because I really only knew the cheap stuff before that. But they took me to Wonderwool and to Ali Pali,
Yeah.
and I got thrown in at the deep end.
And it's a rabbit hole. Once you're in, that's it.
Yeah. And then I found a dyeing course that Jenny from Fiberspace was running in Bristol.
Oh, cool.
So I went along to that and just had a fantastic time and loved it, and sort of came home and thought, I'd like to just try this. And so I did it for a hobby for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I sold it to buy more.
Yeah.
to
A
dye.
self-funding habit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just grew from there. And then my youngest went to school. I decided to try and grow it into a business.
So
I
is
could
your
be at
yarn
home.
business your full-time business now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
to do what you do all the time. And you're going to several shows you've already been to one in Exeter.
Exeter last month, yeah. Yeah, I've got one a month, except for August.
Oh, that's, it's good to have a summer holiday.
Yeah. Well, in August we're going to be sewing the goodie bags for our retreat in October.
Which I am super excited about, without wishing to rub it in to anybody who didn't get a place. I managed to get one, and that's going to be in October in Cardiff.
Yes.
And from
so
what your
excited.
podcast says, it's going to be the first of perhaps a suite of kind of events that you and Zoe are putting together.
It may be an ongoing event, yes.
That's
and
really
there may
exciting.
be another location that we're investigating at the moment.
Is it Ibiza?
No, unfortunately not.
No,
But
no.
yeah. Well, let's get one under our belt.
Okay, I will.
And then I am totally up for investigating abroad.
And brilliant. And in the run up to that, you're doing quite a few knit-alongs, and
Yes.
the one you've got at the moment is in the round.
Yes, yeah. So we wanted to highlight our 4 wonderful tutors, and we did a knit along with Anakin Alice's patterns first because she'll be teaching with us. And at the moment, we're highlighting Jen Best from Beaker Button. She makes Dorset buttons. So we decided that anything round would work.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything you can tie to a circle
Okay.
or going round.
Yeah. Have
Or-
you had any entries of people who have been on office chairs?
I don't think we have yet. No, it's quite disappointing.
I'm gonna try and.
There might be bonus points.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get involved with that. I know some office chairs, and I think I can probably do some spinning
video
round.
of knitting in the round, literally.
Brilliant. Yeah, I will. We'll try for that if it doesn't make me car sick. Brilliant. And so, what's next for Owl About Yarn? Obviously, you've got the retreats. Have you got any other exciting things? New colourways?
Oh, always new colourways. I do mostly one of a kind, so
Yeah. Okay.
I'll repeat them if I love them.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm
What's
a
your
bit of a-
favourite?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably
Many
something with
favourites.
purple in.
My favourite is that one.
Oh,
Is that the rose? Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Yeah.
yeah.
My favourite. But I also do love the pool tiles. They're very
Yeah,
nice.
no, I've got one called Lilac Mist, which is purple and lilac and grey.
Oh,
I
nice.
quite like that, and
yeah.
I've done that on fibre and self-striping and not.
So you do fibre and yarn as well?
Yes,
So
yeah.
there's just a world of opportunity to be had.
Well, it means I don't get bored with doing
Yeah.
one thing. I just switch to a different making thing.
And where do you get your inspiration for colours and for dyes and for colourways? Where do you...
I just
Your head.
love colour, yeah.
Yeah.
I just love colour. I love playing with colours and putting them together and seeing what works, what doesn't, and then over-dyeing it if it really doesn't. But sometimes I get inspired by things like geeky things on the TV or films.
Do you ever do like themed kind of yarns?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did a Wonder Woman kit earlier in...
What? I totally missed that!
Yeah, there was a project bag with a lasso of truth on the front and stitch
You bring
markers.
that
and
back like, for a limited time only.
We've got a Harry Potter kit at the moment. There's going to be a Fantastic Beasts kit at the end of the year ready for the new film.
Okay,
I've
brilliant.
been planning that since the last one came out. So that's probably the new things. I think,
Okay,
are
so
coming
that is
out.
what we will keep an eye out for.
Yes.
Brilliant. We're going to bring in Zoe because Zoe has been sat. Come on.
Should we budge up?
Very coldly on the edge of the bench and watching. So thank you, Zoe, for being here as well. How have you enjoyed Edinburgh Yarn Festival?
Oh, it's been fabulous. So much fun. It's like it's your people.
It's the people.
The tribe.
Yeah.
It's the tribe.
You're with your people. We didn't want to go home yesterday, did we?
We stayed until they kicked us out. At the end of
Literally.
the day.
They were like, no, seriously, you have to go now.
But it must be quite nice because whenever you go to a yarn festival, you guys are selling and like you've got your patterns that you're selling and you're selling your yarn and you're all setting up. So
This is the only show we're doing this year as visitors.
it's like a selfish show.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
our holiday now.
This is our holiday.
Well, that
Yeah.
is brilliant. Well, thank you very much for both of you and for sitting in the cold. I'm really sorry. I hadn't
For asking me.
thought of this before I suggested it.
No, it's fine.
But look, we get to wear our knitwear. So
do.
thank
All of it.
thank you very much and ta-ra. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So I hope you enjoyed hearing from Jenny. I think you can see how cold we were. But it was lovely to meet her. She's so sweet and really giggly and wonderful and lovely. I just wanted to show you her logo, which is very cool. I do love a pun. Owl About Yarn. Look at that, it's got a tiny little owl in it. And as I said, in all her packages, you get this delightful little progress keeper. Can you see that? Look at it. How cute is that? I was surprised to learn that most of her colourways are kind of one-offs and non-repeatable, which is kind of special actually, because it means that every piece you make is literally a one-off. It's quite hard to repeat, but also a sage lesson in making sure that you have enough when you buy the yarn for any kind of project, because it might not be there again. Should we talk about my jumper? I love this jumper. I have been wearing this non-stop since I finished it. It is obviously made from Jenny's yarn. The top, it's a sock weight yarn. The top part is in her cuddly sock yarn, cuddly owl yarn, and it's a 75% merino, 25% nylon. So this only needed 2 skeins, actually less than 2 skeins. I've got quite a bit left over from that. And it's this beautiful jet black, but flecked with greys and flecked with whites. It kind of really breaks it up and doesn't make it too heavy. Also makes it really fun to knit with. As with all hand-dyed yarns, when I'm making a jumper, I will alternate the two skeins so that you avoid any potential pooling. And actually I really kind of love there isn't really any pooling, but I do love how the effect that's come out from that. And then this bottom one is very special. This is what I was wearing when I was interviewing Jenny and kind of tried to thrust it in her face. So this is the yarn we were talking about that has a yak in it, and it's called Tibetan Owl. And it's 60% merino, 20% silk, and 20% yak. What? That is phenomenal. And she's dyed it in this amazing, she's called it rose, but it's this very lovely kind of fuchsia colour. I'm trying out some new videoing. Is it working? I think maybe it worked better last time. Anyway, let's carry on talking about the wool. So this is called Rose, and I think the contrast between them is lovely. Now I was slightly concerned actually that I was using a different yarn base for the top as I was for the bottom, but actually it's worked out very well, and this has got a beautiful drape to it. Obviously it's silk, and that yak, I just can't tell you how soft that is. It's really delightful. So this only took, as I said, 2 skeins of the obsidian, the darker, and 1 skein almost to the T, to the last yard. Not got very much left of that, only that bit. So that was a bit of a yarn chicken episode, which I won, so hurrah for that. But yeah, the pattern, need to talk about the pattern, and I need to thank Mimi, who is my friend on Instagram, who put this pattern in one of her Make 9, which I never got around to doing. I meant to, but actually I just looked at everybody else's Make 9 and stole ideas from them, this being a case in point. So this is called Light Wave, and it's by Danny Sunshine, which is an amazing name. I love that name. I hope that's her real name. Even if it's not, it's a very cool name to have chosen. But as you can see, it's got this nice zigzag detail, which kind of breaks up bits where you might not want, you know, it's a bit of an illusion over the belly area, which is quite nice. And then the coolest part for me are these epaulette style things. Now the construction of this blew my mind. So clever. But I love this detail, and it's one of the first times I've done a drop sleeve bit, and it's much more flattering than I thought. I thought it was going to be quite baggy, but actually it's not at all. So I highly recommend this pattern if you've got just 3 skeins of sock yarn, 2 of which are the same. It's perfect. really, really nice. So this I have just been living in, perfect for this kind of time of year, spring, intermediate time of year. Though we've had some rather brutal cold weather, not going to lie, so I have had some of my big pullovers on as well. But yes, this is really nice. Looks good with black jeans. Yeah, it's perfect. I love it. So it was really lovely to knit like such a large project out of Jenny's yarns. Really easy on the needles. Like I say, I alternated skeins, but there was no kind of pooling that I was unhappy with. Really nice. And then the next project I knit, which I have been waiting on wearing because I wanted to show it to you first before I made it all scuzzy. Socks! I made some socks. Look at these. These are phenomenal. So these are, again, in the cuddly sock, and these are self-striping. And you can't really see the colour, it's more kind of turquoisey, and she's called it pool tiles. And it does just evoke the kind of summer days in the pool, and it's delightful. And as you'll have seen in the video, I am just absolutely baffled by how people can make yarns stripy. That's some kind of mathematical geniusness that I can't even get my head around. So absolutely beautiful. These are bonkers big for my bonkers big feet, and I can't wait to get them on because I don't actually, as you'll have probably noticed, have an awful lot of bright colours going on in my wardrobe, so to be able to have something summery and fun on my feet is brilliant. But the pool tiles thing, so clever. Oh, I love it. I might have to take a picture because it's actually more turquoisey than it's showing up. The lighting is pretty bad. I am sorry about the lighting. Like I say, I'm trying out a new thing. I just got an iPad, like a second-hand iPad from work. And I thought I might try that, but I've not got it nailed really, have I? Alright, I'll work on that for next time. So, beautiful socks, pool tiles. It comes in a cake, so you don't even have to wind it or anything, which is, you know, for people who are lazy like me, a brilliant thing. Then the final piece that I made using Jenny's yarn was a scarf. So I had, surprise, surprise, quite a few single sock skeins. Single sock skeins. Did I say that right? And this one is such a beautiful colour. It's called Decadent. Again, it's the cuddly sock owl base, which is a real kind of workhorse of a base. It's beautiful. And I've made this, it's called the Nelia scarf, and it's by Amber O'Brien. She was the designer behind the Adventurous wrap. I think she's based in Australia. And this is a beautiful, delicate piece. To be fair, it's the first time I've made like a scarf since I think I started knitting. They go on a bit, don't they, scarves? I think that's maybe why knitters knit shawls and cowls a lot, because it goes on. But this is a lovely pattern that has like two pointy ends. Oh, I need to cut the ends off. So it makes a really nice kind of lighter summery scarf, which I love. And look at this colour. This is a kind of grey, how can I show this to you? Like there. It's got greys in it, it's got lilacs, it's got beiges. It's just really beautiful. And I think it really lends itself to this kind of delicate lace work as well. I'm going to take some photos, some proper photos, and put them in the, try and insert them so that you get a better sense. I'm sorry about the lighting. I also, you know how the Knitmore girls have a weaving in fairy who somehow just which is amazing. I quite like one of those. I would quite like a blocking fairy, because I don't know if you can see, the blocking on this is a little bit ropey, see? It almost looks like a kind of snake that's shed its skin, rather than like, you know, a nice, neat, straight line. Oh well. On my wish list, I'm going to put that down, a blocking fairy. But this colourway, back on point, Chalice, come on. This colourway is absolutely delightful, and it's called Decadent, and this is Cuddly Owl Sock. And this is, the Cuddly Owl Sock is really very reasonable, right? For 100 grams, you're talking £14, which I think is really good for hand-dyed yarn. The ones which have got yak and silk and stuff, still only £18. What a bloody bargain. And obviously the self-striping stuff, which takes a lot more work, that's £18 too. So really, not unreasonable. And if you can get something like this for £14, I think that's delightful. I don't know whether I'm going to keep this or gift it. I do have a lot of yarny scarves and things. In fact, they started taking over the banister. I tend to drape them over the bottom of the banister on our stairs, and like this pile of wool was getting bigger and bigger and almost becoming a barrier to going up the stairs. So I had to take them away and neatly fold them, which is, you know, probably the grown-up thing to do as well. But it did highlight how many knitted scarves and shawls I have. And also, as we move into spring, I need to, you know, do some popping away of some of them so that they are nice and fresh when we get to September. Sorry, back on point. I love this. I think I'm going to keep it. I don't know anybody who might be knit-worthy enough to have that. Family, friends, place your orders now. Maybe we'll have like a bid off for it. So it has been lovely working with Jenny's yarns and exploring another brilliant, very talented UK independent dyer. The other thing that I have of Jenny's, which I got over Christmas, and it was so gorgeous, I couldn't bear to open it, so it's still actually all together. She did this little Christmas tree, look at that. And it's got these mini skeins in, tiny little mini skeins, and some chocolate coins, and some progress keepers. But it was so beautiful, I didn't want to open it. Oh look, and it's got a little bell progress keeper. So Christmassy. Look at those. I think it might just have to stay like that forever and just go on my Christmas tree next year and I can look at it. I can't break into that. It's gorgeous. Beautiful. And additionally, oh, I just wanted to show you the, Jenny's so generous. Whenever she sends out an order, you get this lovely little owly progress keeper. Look at that. With a glittery little thing. So cute. So cute. I do have two of them, but I think I've left one on another piece of knitting I was doing. Not to keep progress, just because it was so pretty. Very thoughtful, really lovely and well thought through. Now, Jenny, you can find Jenny, she's on Etsy, obviously, and she's going to be at quite a few festivals and yarn shows coming up. So Yarningham, I know she's at. Is it called Wool at Junction 21? I've just totally made that up. It's off the M6 somewhere. I need to look that up. I will try and put in some details. But yeah, you can check out Jenny's podcast as well, because she tells you about everywhere she's going to be. But I thoroughly recommend it, even if it's for a naughty purchase of just one sock skein. It's so worth it. It's lovely. And then just for £3, look at that. you can be stripy too. I really love it. Well done, Jenny. Lovely yarn. Absolutely bloody love it. And I've got some stuff left, so this is going in my scrap yarn pile, which is mostly dominated by grey at the moment. So it'll fit in nicely and get some friends. Have some grayscale going on. So I'll leave all the details on how you can find Jenny on the website, yarnambassador.com, but also in the drop-down menu. Drop-down menu? No, in the, the information bar. But you can just find it all on yarnambassador.com. That's what I'm going to do. So, I have got an awful lot more to talk about. So if you turned up for the showcase, and that is it, here endeth the showcase of Jenny at Owl About Yarn. And now I'm going to talk about some other stuff I've been working on and things I've been doing. So if you're not interested in that, then you can stop here. Ta-ra, it was lovely to see you. If you are interested to stay on, I've got lots of other stuff to talk about. I was at Edinburgh Yarn Festival last year. Imagine you're all probably a bit bored of hearing about Edinburgh Yarn Festival, especially if you didn't get to go. God, how there are millions of podcasts about that, so I won't go on about it, partly because I was only there for an hour and a half. I was not organised. I did not get a ticket in advance. It was all quite last minute. I'd given myself 3 hours to have a look round, and then I was going for lunch with a mate, and then I was going to meet Jenny from All About Yarn, and then go on to Glasgow to see one of my best friends. Hadn't anticipated the queue or the cold. The queue was quite long. Now I know they said there would be a queue, and it's brilliant that they do allow space for people like me who are totally disorganised and hadn't pre-booked a place. And to be honest, for the amount of people that there were in that queue, it moved pretty fast. And it was lovely. Do you know, it's so nice to stand in a queue and just stare at people's knitwear and touch their knitwear, and they don't think you're weird. It's great. I met some lovely people in the queue, including a lovely lady called Millie, who is opening a yarn shop in Richmond called Tribe. I think that's right. Anyway, she was delightful, and so we had a lovely long chat in the queue. But the queue was quite long. I was in the queue for about an hour. Do you know what? I was probably one of the people who had maximum queue time, just because of how it fell when I arrived. Must have been at peak queuing time. And they did move people in really fast, and they were really encouraging. There was a nice chap who kept coming up and down the line saying, "Don't worry, you're going to get in," which was reassuring, because obviously it's a sold out event and there are obviously capacity issues and things. But it did mean by the time I did get to the front of the queue and get in, I had an hour and a half, and before I had to go and meet my friend for lunch, who doesn't get yarn, and I couldn't have been late, but I'm sorry, I got overexcited by yarn. So it really had to be a hit and run episode, which was, Christ, did I hit, really did go a bit bonkers on that. Do you want to see what I got? Again, I was supposed to be really well behaved. Now, in a certain sense, I was. I did not come away with any single sock yarn skeins, not one. I did come away with 2 sweater quantities of DK. I had planned to get 1, so really I've only got 1 over extra. I'm going to show you what I got, just because I think looking at yarn is basically why we're all here, so why wouldn't we? But I do get that it may seem excessive. So I'll start with the books. So I went to Isolde's stand first, which was beautiful, and I wish I'd had more time, because there was places where you could sit down, have a knit, have a flick through books, and I wish I'd have had time to enjoy it rather than just stressing myself out running through. I'm also, having watched some of the other podcasters talk about Edinburgh Yarn Festival, I feel like maybe I missed quite a lot of stands. I was like, didn't know John Arbonne were there. Obviously just raced past them. So maybe I missed like a whole bit. Probably a good job because I just did not have time. Anyway, so I went to Isolde's stand, which was lovely. Didn't have a chance to look at the yarns, but I did get 2 copies of Lane. So this is the latest one, number 4, and this is the not latest one, number 3, which has got some beautiful stuff in. I haven't really even had a chance to peruse it, but do you know what? The production quality on these things are absolutely phenomenal. It smells really good as well. Like, next to sniffing wool, sniffing new books, really brilliant, that. So hopefully, there might be a DK jumper in there that I can use some of the yarn for, which I will show you now, very briefly. So the first place, hang on. Take this all off by the big bag. The first place I fell upon when I was there was Triskelion Yarns, who it sort of seems to be about the Welsh this month. Obviously, Jenny from All About Yarn is based in Wales, and I came across Triskelion Yarn, which is run by Carthen. I hope I'm saying that right. Carthen. Zoe and Jenny know him. Zoe and Jenny know everybody. I mean, it's remarkable. You can't walk down a corridor without Jenny being like, oh look, there's so and so. Brilliant. Anyway, so I was lured in. This is their Skilfing DK, which is Blueface Leicester and Gotland. Oh my god! But it was really the colours that got me. So this kind of tealy blue and then grey, beautiful, lovely grey. This is called Sunnel's Brow, and it's kind of like a really dark inky grey. And then I got a contrasty kind of natural colour. Now what was brilliant was that if you got a sweaters quantity at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, so 5 skeins from Triskelion Yarn, you got a 5% discount, and they gave you a free pattern, which they had this beautiful sample, which is a pattern by Knitter's Kitchen called Banded, and it's just a really simple pullover, striped, a couple of contrast stripes going through it, and it's by a lady called Juka, Knitter's Kitchen, but she designed it using Triskelion yarns. So they gave you a free Ravelry download for that. So I think that's going to be probably the next on my needles, which is brilliant. So really, it should have just stopped there. It should have just stopped at my DK sweater quantity. That was in the first 5 minutes. Really nice muted tonals. I'll try and insert a picture of what Banded is going to look like. Did it stop there? Didn't. Did not stop there, because I still had, that took 10 minutes, I still had another hour and 20 minutes, so, you know, after that I calmed down a little bit, being like, right, I've ticked it. But then I ended up at Eden Cottage, which they had the most beautiful stand, really nicely made up, and they had this grey DK, and this is called their Bowland DK in the Thunderer colourway. Now, I may have mentioned this before, but my fella's from Lancashire, and not far from the Trough of Bowland, which I believe this is named after. So in my head, that made it okay, because it's kind of like Lancashire wool, isn't it? That no one can complain about adding yarn to the stash if it's from Lancashire, right? Let's go with that. Anyway, so I got a full sweater's quantity of that, which is delightful. Then I was almost done. I'd almost got out just with like, oh, that's okay. But then I saw this. This is called the Pendle Chunky. It's 100% merino, and it's got this amazing kind of ropey definition. I don't really know how to describe it, but the way the colour of the yarn works and the light twist, it's beautiful. So this is a chunky weight, and this is called Pendle, and again, not very far from Pendle Hill. So I thought that would be okay too. And look, I've nearly knit it. Look at that. Oh. Nearly finished it. And I've even got a pom-pom to go on top. In fact, I'm wondering if it's maybe a bit big now. Maybe I could just leave that bit for my ponytail. This is really nice. It's a kind of dark duck egg blue. It's called hyssop. I don't even know what a hyssop is, but it's delightful. And this is the chunky waffle. It's a free Ravelry download. It's brilliant. It's really fast. Started it yesterday. It's going to be finished today. And I've got a pom-pom ready to go on the top. Look at that. Nearly done. Nearly done. So Eden Yarn was a bit of a, that was lovely. I could have spent all day and all my salary there, but I did drag myself away. And by this stage, I only had about 5 minutes left. So I went kind of peered at some other podcasters. I did bring myself to say hello to some of them. So I kind of jumped on Amy from Stranded. She's great. She was very nice. Had a big cuddle with her. Possibly freaked out Ellie from Skein-Deer Knits. Sorry about that. Couldn't bring myself to actually introduce myself to Kirsten Vullenvine. So I just kind of loomed at her a bit. And then I also saw Tracy from the Grocery Girls, which was lovely, but kind of weird to see her and not Jodie there at the same time. But I did have a chat with her, and she gave me a Grocery Girls badge. Winner. So that was really nice. And then I was on my way out the door, right? I had nearly made it. And then I saw that these needles, the driftwood needles, were on sale at a yarn story. I thought, oh well, I will try those out because I know people have been talking about them. And so I got a fixed circular for hats, 4mm, to do some hats. And then I thought, well, do you know what? Probably going to need something to knit on that. And they had this phenomenal, this was a special colourway just for Edinburgh Yarn Festival called West Covina, and it's Walcott Yarns, which is the brand of Yarn Story, their own yarn, I believe. And this is a collaboration between them and Townhouse Yarns, who are based in Dublin. And this is just absolutely beautiful. Not only that, it's 70% Falkland Merino, 30% alpaca, baby alpaca. So this is going to be a hat right there. In fact, I might go and skein it up. I've got quite a bit more travelling coming up over the next couple of weeks, so I need to make sure I've got on-the-go projects to take with me. And hats. I'm in a real hat place at the moment. I'm also in a real DK place, as you can see, which is a shame because I need more socks, but I just can't be bothered on the sock side of things. Oh well, all those single sock yarn skeins, we'll just have to wait a bit. Sorry. So that was Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which was great, and it was really lovely to meet people. Next year, I will definitely book a ticket. I will give myself more time. I will wear more clothes. It was Baltic up there, and if you've seen Pins and Needles podcast, you will see there was quite a bit of snow. Hiya, through the magic of technology, I have had a costume change, without you having to see the nudie bits. Sorry. This is another project that I was working on at the beginning of the year. Look at that. This is the Hauch cardigan, Hauch, which I believe means breath. I spoke about it before on the podcast. And this was a test knit for Simone Carite, who is Owl Cat Designs. There's a lot of owls going on today. Owl Cat Designs, you can find her on Instagram and on Ravelry. And this is a delightful sock weight cardigan. A lot of buttons, 15. As you can see, I did not have 15 matching buttons, but I quite like that. It's got this twisted rib border and kind of bottom panel here in the main colours. So again, this used, it calls for 2 skeins of the main colour, and for that I used, had an old favourite, I used Debbie Down Sheepy Lane in Hat Aria colourway. And the kind of contrast, it's not really a contrast, but it's kind of a complementary stripy colour was also from Debbie and called Kingslayer. So it's kind of also a Game of Thrones thing. But this is a really nice, it's kind of slightly cropped. Shall I try and stand up? No, that's just my crotch. Sorry. Somewhere in between that, maybe you got it. Sorry about that. But again, very, very nice, lovely with jeans, and really fun to knit. I've been knitting more cardigans, which I never really thought I would do because I don't really like purling, let's be honest. Going backwards and forwards is a bit of a shag. But yeah, it's a lovely, lovely cardigan. I would highly recommend it. Again, a nice kind of like spring summer weight thing to wear. Obviously 3/4 length sleeves. It's not a cold weather thing. It's not for cold weather. It's not. But it is a nice warm layer. The pattern has actually been published now. It's been fully published, so you can find that. It was a lovely test knit to do. Really good fun. Again, this was one of those things where I'd gone, oh, I really want to test knit that, and I test knit it and pushed lots of other projects out of the way. But I just wanted to share that with you now, and suggest you go and have a look at it. Simone Carite, Owl Cat Designs. Beautiful. What else have I got to tell you about? Oh, the other thing that I've been doing is a sample knit for Oxford Yarn Store. Now, Oxford Yarn Store is one of my local yarn stores. It's on the other side of town for me, so I don't get to go up there very often. But I went up there about a month ago because I had a voucher to spend and got some beautiful stuff. But they have just become a flagship shop of Rowan yarns. They stock Isaga as well, but they have kind of had a bit of a reshuffle of their shop and have become a flagship Rowan yarn shop. And so they were looking for people to do sample knits, so I have been doing a sample knit for them, which has been great because again, it's a project that I probably wouldn't have chosen for myself. It was a cardigan called the Madras cardigan, which is knit out of their cashmere cotton, and I'll insert a little video of it here, but that was great fun, and I hope it might be on display now in Oxford Yarn Store. If they think it's good enough, it might not be. So I have just this very moment finished my Madras cardigan, which is a pattern by Sarah Hatton for Rowan. It's knit using cashmere cotton, Rowan cashmere cotton. It's got a beautiful feel and drape to it. I wanted to talk a little bit about the pattern before I wrap it up and take it to Oxford Yarn Store, which is where it will be as a sample knit. They've just become a flagship shop for Rowan. So one of the features is this beautiful broken rib. It's a 4-row pattern repeat and goes all the way up and round, so creates a beautiful border for it. It's also got the short row shaping to give it a bit of kind of bulge almost. That doesn't sound like the most attractive word for it, but just on these side panels, which I think is a really nice feature as well. One of the aspects that is a first for me is that I joined the border and the main thing with a crocheted slip stitch, which I don't know if you can see terribly well. That side shows it a bit better, which is the first time I've done that, and I'm really quite pleased with the result. The yarn's beautiful, very drapey, soft. The cashmere with the cotton kind of avoids it being too squeaky, I suppose, and I think it's going to be very nice and wearable. So I'm going to get it steamed because I think it needs a bit of a steam before I take it up. But great project. That one was knitted in the 37 to 38 bust, I think. Took 4 balls. That's, you can see over there what I've got left, a little tangle of ends that have been woven in and cut off, and maybe about half a ball. So a tiny little bit left over. Anyway, I hope they like it. So that was really fun to knit. I don't really knit with cotton because I feel like it's a bit squeaky, and sometimes it's quite heavy. One of the things I've realised about knitting with wool is that actually it's incredibly light for the volume that you've got, you know, and cotton is actually quite a bit heavier. But yeah, it was a really interesting test knit, and I've got a couple of other things to be finishing for them as well. I'm off travelling for work tomorrow. Tomorrow I am off to Chicago, where hopefully I might be able to find some yarn stores there. I've got about an hour where I don't have meetings or commitments, so I'm hoping I might be able to do a whistle-stop tour of some of the key yarn stores in Chicago. But I'm expecting it to be quite cold there, so I really need to finish that hat actually so that I don't freeze. But I think that's probably all I've got for you this week, week. It's been about 3 months, let's be honest. I hope it won't be so long before the next one, but as I say, you know, I do really want to make sure I am showcasing enough of those independent yarn dyers, and to do that I feel like I need to knit with several of their bases and lots of different things for it. So hopefully there will be one in the not too distant future. But thank you very much for stopping by. Do subscribe so that you do get a notification of when the next one is up. They're not perhaps as regular as other podcasters, so yeah, make sure you sign up and subscribe. Please also comment below if you've got anything to add to the conversation or any feedback, and give it a like if you like it, all those kind of things. And if there are any independent yarn dyers who you think are worthy of being showcased, who perhaps aren't on my radar, do get in touch and let me know, because I always love hearing about new independent yarn dyers, people who are doing something a little bit different. And yeah, then maybe I can have an investigate. Alright, I think that's it. I think my tea My tea has gone cold now, so it's time for another cup of tea, and also time to clear up this mess. Whenever I'm podcasting, it's like a bomb site around here of stuff that's fallen out and about. Right, and I better get this edited before I have to leave for the States, and I need to pack. I need to do so much stuff, and wind some yarn, because I need to have enough wound yarn for the plane. Right, it's been fun. Thanks very much everybody for staying this long. Ta-ra!